I cried. I really cried. That's just what happened when Spirit sat me down before I even hit record and said, the person who needs to hear this isn't just another soul passing through. This is one of the ones, the one we've been waiting for. And now I know that probably sounds like something every reader says to make people feel special, but I need you to understand. I have been doing this work, this great work, for a very long time. I have sat across from thousands of people. I have felt into the energy of strangers in crowded rooms. I've held space for things that most people would not even know how to name. And what I'm picking up around whoever is meant to find this message right now is genuinely not something I encounter often. Not once a month, not even once a year. This is something that stops me. My voice is trembling in the tracks before I even get started. The soul that is being pulled toward this specific recording at this specific moment is operating at a frequency that I honestly don't have words for yet. And Spirit is showing me that this person has been walking around in their body, in their life, carrying something so enormous inside them that it's almost impossible for them to see it themselves. Because how do you see? How do you see the thing you have always been? How do you measure the air you've been breathing since before you had language for what breathing even was? And the thing that got me, really got me, the thing that actually made the tears come before I could pull myself together, was Spirit showing me that nobody has ever sat this person down and told them the truth about what they actually are. Not what they do, not what they love, not how they show up in the world, but what they actually are at the level of their soul. And that silence, that absence of reflection, has cost them more than they even realize. There has been this quiet erosion happening inside them, this slow wearing away of something essential. And they have been walking around feeling wrong and too much, or not enough, without even ever being able to put their finger on why. And I need you to hear this. You are the one finding this now. It was never something you did wrong, or something you failed to become, or something you should have figured out by now. You were just living in a world that didn't have the equipment to see you properly. And when a soul is as old and as layered, as profoundly evolved as yours is, that kind of invisibility doesn't just feel bad. It feels like a slow suffocating. It feels like you are shouting into a canyon and no one even hears the echo. So that's what this is. That's why you are here. I know you probably scrolled past 100 things today, maybe 1,000. And something in you paused on this one because of them, not because of the thumbnail or title or whatever algorithm pushes it onto your screen. You paused because some part of you recognized something before your brain could catch up. Some part of you felt felt a vibration and said, wait, that one's for me. And I promise you, if you stay with me through the end of this, something that has been dormant inside you is going to stir. Something that has been waiting for confirmation, waiting for permission, waiting for someone to finally say the words out loud. It's going to land in a way that you will feel in your body, not just here in your head, not just understand intellectually. Feel. The very first thing that came through before I could even settle into my space was color. Deep violet, almost indigo, the kind of color you don't just see, you feel. And Spirit was insistent that this color is significant for you. It's either something you've always been drawn to without knowing why, something that shows up in your clothing or your home or your dreams, or it's simply the color of the energy field you naturally carry. That deep indigo frequency tells me everything I need to know about the level of your perception. You don't just see the surface of things. You see underneath. You see the machinery. You feel the energy that moves between people before words even happen. You walk into a room and you know the emotional temperature of everyone in it within 3 seconds. And you probably spent most of your time, most of your life thinking everyone could do that. They cannot. We cannot do that. That's not a normal thing. That's a gift that marks a very specific kind of soul. I want to pause here because I think this is where so much of your confusion has come from. You grew up in a world that didn't validate what you could perceive. You probably had moments as a child where you said something that was true on a level you didn't even have words. You didn't yet have words for. And the adults around you either dismissed it or looked at you like you were strange. And you learned the way sensitive souls always learn, to keep your mouth shut, to pretend you didn't see what you saw, to act like the things you felt were not real because no one else seemed to feel them. But they were real. They were real. They have always been real. And the fact that you are still carrying that perception, that you haven't let it get dulled or buried or explained away, is one of the things that makes you so extraordinarily rare. Extraordinarily rare. I want to repeat. What Spirit is showing me about you is that your gifts are not primarily intellectual or even emotional, though both of those are very much present and beautifully developed. Your primary gifts are perceptual and spiritual. You don't just think things. You don't just think things. You know things. You don't just feel things. You absorb them. You take in energy from everything around you, from people, from places, from the silence between words, from the way light falls across a room at a certain hour. And you process that information at a depth that most people never even access. The problem is that you have been carrying this capacity without a framework for understanding it. You've been feeling things you couldn't name. You've been knowing things you couldn't prove. You have been silently wondering if maybe something was wrong with you because nobody else seemed to be carrying this weight. Nothing is wrong with you. Nothing. You were just built differently, built for something bigger, built to perceive what others cannot see. Also picking up that there was a period in your life, maybe recently, maybe still ongoing, where things got genuinely dark. Not difficult, not just a hard year. Spirit is showing me real moments of real descent, times when the sensitivity and the depth that makes you so extraordinary also became almost unbearable. Times when you looked at people around you who seemed to move through life with such ease, such lightness, and you couldn't understand why everything landed so heavily on you, why you couldn't just let things roll off the way they seemed to, why you felt everything at full volume while the world seemed to reward people who felt very little. And in those moments, you might have wondered if you were somehow assembled wrong for the life you were given. Like someone had made a mistake and given you a soul that was too big for the body and the circumstances you were born into. But here's what Spirit wants me to tell you with absolute clarity. You were not mistaken. Every single thing about you, including the parts that have made your life harder, the sensitivity, the depth, the way you absorb everything around you, was intentional, was chosen. Not chosen for you by some external force, but chosen for you before you even arrived here. You knew on a soul level that you would never exactly those tools to do what you came to do. You knew it would be hard. You knew it would feel isolating. You knew you would sometimes wish you could just be more like everyone else. And you chose this way. You chose to come in with the volume turned all the way up, because your assignment you carried right now required it. The people you came to reach required it. The work you came to do required a level of perception that simply doesn't exist in people who operate at ordinary frequencies. And you have walked through that darkness and come out the other side. Not the same, no. You have been refined in ways that people who never went down that deep cannot understand. Not broken, never broken, never broken. There is a kind of resilience that lives in your bones that doesn't come from positive thinking or forced optimism. It comes from having been in the pit and found your way back to the light more than once. It comes from knowing on a level that cannot be undone that you can survive things that would break most people. And that knowing, that earned certainty, is one of the most powerful things you carry. I'm seeing the number 11 come through me very strongly in your energy. And 33, these are what we call master numbers. And their presence here is telling me something important about the assignment you carry. People who have master numbers in their energetic signature are often the ones who feel like they came here with a larger purpose than the people around them. They feel the sense of mission that doesn't fit neatly into the usual boxes of career or family or personal success. And that feeling can be deeply isolating because most people don't experience life that way. Most people are here for a more straightforward journey. But you are not here for that. You are here for something that requires the kind of depth and resilience and perception that most people, most souls simply don't have. And that's why you've often felt out of step with the world around you. I keep seeing this image of a woman sitting alone near water, not a lake or a river specifically, just water moving, soft, constant, ancient. And she's not sitting there because she's lonely. She's sitting there because she needs the quiet, because the stillness is the only place where she can hear herself think. And Spirit is saying that image is you. You've always been someone who needs space to process, who needs silence to hear truth, who sometimes prefers the company of your own inner world to the noise of what's happening around you. And people have maybe misread that about you. They've called you distant or hard to reach, or like you are always somewhere else, when really you were just operating on a frequency that most of them simply didn't have the capacity to turn into. You were not pulling away. You were just living in a different dimension of awareness, and that awareness has been waiting for you to fully claim it. There is something I want to name here that came through very clearly. You've been healing yourself for a very long time, not just working on yourself in the way people talk about in therapy or personal development, but actually healing, actually transmuting what was heavy into something that could be used for light. And Spirit is telling me that your healing has never been just for you. The way you have repeatedly chosen to come back to wholeness, the way you've chosen growth over bitterness, even when bitterness would have been easier, so much easier. That's a gift. That is a gift to every single person who will ever come near you. You carry a frequency of healing that people can feel. That's why strangers open up to you in grocery stores lines. That's why people tell you their deepest secrets within minutes of meeting you. They feel safe in your presence because you have done the inner work that creates safety. You are a sanctuary for other people's pain because you've learned how to hold your own. And I think you are in a moment right now where you can feel something shifting. Something that's been waiting to change is finally beginning to move. Spirit is showing me that the reason why you feel, because this season of preparation, the season of holding patterns and things almost but not quite arriving, that season is closing. What's on the other side of this threshold is not something you have to squeeze yourself into or adjust yourself to fit. It's something that was already shaped around who you are. The waiting has been real, and it has been long, and it has something felt like nothing was happening. But everything was happening, everything was being built, everything was being aligned. And the structure that is forming now is built on ground that will not shift beneath you. It's built on truth, on the real foundation that only comes after you have done the deeper work, the deep work of figuring out what you actually stand for. I'm also being shown something about a person in your orbit, someone who operates with authority and presence in their own life, someone who in most areas of their existence is very much in control of themselves and their environment. And this person has encountered you and lost that control in the most beautiful way. Spirit is showing me this image of someone who prides themselves on being unreadable, suddenly becoming very readable around you. Their composure slips, their carefully maintained distance dissolves, and they don't know what to do with that, because you are unlike anything in their previous experience. Unlike. You interrupt their patterns. You get under their skin in a way that cannot be reasoned away. They think about you at moments they didn't plan to, in the middle of something completely unrelated, and they feel it physically, a warmth in their chest, a disruption in their concentration. This person may not have words for what's happening to them. They may not even fully understand it themselves. But Spirit is showing me that the effect you have on them is profound, and it's only growing stronger. What I really need you to understand, and what I think has been missing from your life, is the truth of your own value. Not your value as a function of what you do for others, or how well you perform, or how much you achieve. Your actual inherent sacred value as a soul. You are placed here on purpose, in this body, in this time, with these exact gifts, because the world needs what only you carry. And I want you to pause here, to pause on that, because I think there is a part of you that has wondered more than once whether you were somehow a mistake, whether you were too much or not enough, or somehow assembled incorrectly for the life you were given. And Spirit is saying with absolute clarity, none of that is true. None of that. You are not too much. You are not enough. You are exactly what was needed. You just haven't been able to see it because nobody around you reflected it back. There is a symbol coming through right now that I want to name because it's appearing very clearly in your energy. A butterfly. Not in a decorative or superficial way, but as a marker of genuine transformation. You are in a metamorphic moment, a real and undeniable transformation between who you were and who you are becoming. And like a butterfly, the most significant part of the transformation happens in the in-between space, the space that looks like nothing is happening, but it's actually where everything is happening. That is where you are right now. Don't mistake the stillness for stagnation. You are not behind, you are not delayed. You are in the cocoon phase, where the old structure are dissolving and the new ones haven't fully formed yet. And I know that phase feels like limbo. I know it feels like waiting, but Spirit is telling me that you are becoming something that couldn't have been formed without this quiet, this pause, this gathering of all the scattered parts of yourself into something whole. I also seeing a flower coming through, lavender specifically, either a scent you are drawn to, something you find calming, something you grow or wear or keep near you. Lavender has long been connected to intuition and spiritual protection. And I think that resonance is not an accident for you. You are someone who naturally gravitates toward things that have protective and restorating properties, because you spend so much of your energy in service to others. You give so much of yourself away that you have learned to seek out things that can help refill you. And I want to hear the love that is coming toward you now. The connection that is arriving is designed to fill you back up, to restore what was spent, to give you back something you may have forgotten was even possible, which is the feeling of being truly, properly loved, unconditionally loved. You have given so much. Spirit is showing me a long stretch of time where your love, your energy, your care, your wisdom has flowed outward toward others. Sometimes toward people who didn't deserve the full force of what you were offering. People who took what you gave and never even noticed the cost to you, the cost. And I know you don't do it because you expect things back. You give because it's who you are. You give because you cannot help it. You give because the life in you is so vast that it has to go somewhere. But that season of one-way flow is turning. What is coming for you now is designed to pour back into you, to match the measure of what you have given, to correct the imbalance that has been present for so long. There is a new chapter opening in your life, in your favor, and it's built on ground that will not shift. Something solid and real and lasting is forming around you. And I want you to receive that. I want you to let yourself believe that it's possible, because I think a part of you has been protecting yourself from disappointing for so long that you have stopped being able to imagine things actually working out. You've been bracing for the other shoe to drop for years. And Spirit is telling me that you can stop bracing, you can let your shoulders come down, you can open your hands and let whatever has been gripping so tightly in them begin to uncurl. You are not holding it all together alone anymore. The structure that is forming now has its own strength. It stands on its own. It doesn't require to white-knuckle your way through. And that person I mentioned earlier, the one who cannot stop thinking about you, the one whose composure you've interrupted, there is something real there. This isn't just a passing attraction or a brief curiosity. Spirit is showing me that the effect you have had on them is lasting and deepening. They don't fully understand what's happening to them. They may even try to pull away from it because it scares them, but they keep being drawn back. They keep thinking of you. They keep feeling you even when you are not there. And there is a reason for that. There is a reason. You carry something they have never encountered before. A depth, a warmth, a truth that they cannot find anywhere else. And they are only beginning to understand the significance of what's happening between you. Before I close this, I want to give you the full picture of what Spirit has been showing me throughout this entire message. You are an ancient soul carrying a frequency that most people cannot fully perceive. You have walked through real darkness and came out refined, not broken. You have a direct connection to truth that is active and real and potent. Not something you need to develop from scratch, something that is already fully present in you, and simply waiting for your permission to be expressed without apology. You have a solid and beautiful new chapter opening for you, built on ground that will not shift beneath your feet. And Spirit tells me you're so close to that breakthrough you've been waiting for. So close to the moment where everything finally makes sense. So close to stepping fully into who you actually are instead of who you have been trying to be. And one more time, you are not behind. You are not broken. You are not too much. You are not asking for too much. You are not a burden. You are of the highest divine beings I have ever come into contact within all my years of doing this work. And I need you to hear that today, not because it's flattering, because it's true, because you have been carrying something enormous and nobody has ever helped you set it down long enough to see what it really is. You left me speechless, actually, not because I don't have words for what I'm seeing in you, but because what I'm seeing in you is so rare that words feel insufficient. And I'm crying not because I'm sad, but because I know what it means to be this unseen, and I know what it is about to mean for you to finally be seen. You are one of the highest souls I've ever connected with. And I'm honored to be the one who got to tell you that.